Hi, welcome to the first part of the Google Forms digital assessment course. This video is going to deal with how to get onto Google Forms and also some of the elementary functions of getting it up and running. First thing that you need to do is actually find where it is to open it up. If you navigate to Google on your computer, what you will find is the home page and what we call the waffle or the app launcher up in the top right hand corner. This is where you can find Google Forms. Before we open it up, one important thing to check is which account you're logged into. To check which account you're logged into, simply click on the icon next to the app launcher and this will show you which accounts you're going on. It's best to use your Nottingham College one. If you're not in your Nottingham College one, click onto it and then you'll see that it's now showing as Nottingham College. It's just makes things a bit easier when we start to look at sharing forms and how to access them through things like Interact. That's the first thing that you need to do. Just make sure that you are logged into your college account on Google before you open Google Forms. Once that's done and you're happy and you know that you're in there, click on the app launcher and we just need to scroll down in here to find forms. Looking for a purple icon, which is there, and just a single click will open it for you. Once that's loaded up, you can see here this top portion of the screen will be similar to what you see. If you haven't been into Google Forms before, below that will be completely different. I imagine that it would just be an empty screen, but because I've been creating forms, this is the ones that I've created, and as you can see there, it shows owned by me, so it knows who's created the forms when you're going to share them. So what can we do? How do we start this? Well, we've got some options here at the top. Blank quiz. We'll come on to quizzes in another section. I think this is where the digital assessment really comes into its own. Just for a start, if we go on to blank, we can see what we're dealing with here. So this is Google Forms in its most basic appearance, in the most sort of open and convertible and usable format. It's just a blank form for you to create how you will. It's important just to talk through a few of the things that you see on the screen here. Firstly, if you're unfamiliar with the way that Google works, here is the document name. What you can do is if you put a name in there, that's saving now. My connection is incredibly slow at the moment, so this might take a little bit of time. But once that's gone through, you will see there that is the name of the document of the form that you're creating. Thankfully, what you can do while it is saving is go in and look and start working through the other parts of the form. So this is the actual name of the form. You can call it what you want. So if we call it digital assessment test, and then you can, if you need to, give a short description. This will help people who understand what it is that you want them to do with this form or what the form is about. So here we can put once you've sorted the typos out, of course. So this is a test to show some of the features in Google Forms, which is what we're going to do. So we're going to be looking at using this test form to explain some of the basics of forms for you. First question here, let's just talk through what we've got here. So you can put your question there. So the first thing that you need to do if you're sort of using a form to gather data, collect data, is actually start with the simple question. So, what is your name? What you'll find here is that the choice of answers or the choice of inputs that you get changes. So it tries to help you out. So because you've put a closed question, it's suggesting that a short answer would be the best response for this to capture that data. So people filling in this form would just have to type in a short response. If you click on the down pointing arrow, this is what you can get here. Paragraph is a slightly longer answer. We have multiple choice, checkboxes, drop down, scales and grids, date and time as well. And we'll come on to look at these in more detail as we go through. But these are the forms of answers that are available to you from your questions. Clearly, if you're asking someone's name, you're probably going to want them to type the answer in. So that's fine. What we can do as well here is if we look where it says required and press the little slider next to it, that means that people do need to fill that question in. They can't skip it. What you might do is choose to have some of your questions set to required and some as optional. This does help people fill in forms more completely, because if they have to fill in everything, they might not be able to provide all the information, or they might just get a bit bored with it as well. So having some that are the key piece of information that you really need from the form, if you make them required, then the rest can be sort of optional. So there's our first question. We can, if we wish, add an image to make it a little nicer. And we might even, in later videos in this course, we might even look at how we can use images and even video in our digital assessment quizzes using Google Forms. So there's your first question. It's unlikely that you're just going to have a single question form or quiz. So what we need to do is add another question. This is where the bar down here comes into play. The first option there, the plus sign, add question. So here we can start putting in the second question, and here it defaults to multiple choice, so we'll look at what we can do with multiple choice questions. Again, type your question in, and because it's kind of working on what you're typing, Google Forms does try and be helpful and make suggestions. So here we've given kind of again another closed question, a yes no answer. So it's suggesting the options that you could put in. If you click on add all, it does it for you. So it's saving you time. You're not having to do everything yourself. Again, required appears for all of these questions, so you can choose to make this a requirement that people give an answer, or you can just leave it and let people choose whether or not they answer it. If you don't feel that it's really important, then don't tick required, don't put required on. That's question 2 sorted. If we want to add question 3 as another multiple choice question, what we can do is, rather than going up to here to add question, we can use duplicate. What that will do is just take question 2 and put it underneath as question 3, and then you can edit the question accordingly. So if we duplicate, you can see there now that the question has just copied directly underneath, and we can just edit the question accordingly. So there we go, saving time as we go through. What you can do as well, if you've put your questions in and you suddenly thought, I need to change that, I need to change the format, I want to ask a different question, rather than deleting it, what you can do is change the format as well. So you can, if you wish, have checkboxes. The difference between checkboxes and multiple choice is that you can have multiple answers selected for the same question. Whether or not that's the right thing to do for this kind of question is a different matter. Drop down menus as well. You can choose to have that as a drop down function. If you're starting to think about how you can use this in your classes, maybe this is something that you would think about for seeing which areas students are coming from. If you teach classes that have students from different faculties, perhaps a drop-down menu with the faculties in would help give you a better indication of information of progress from students from certain areas. When we come to look at how to use this data, then this will be a really useful thing for us to look at. Once you're happy with the questions that you've got in, what you can do is up in the top here, the little icon that looks like an eye is the preview, so you can see what your form will look like when people are faced with it and are filling it in. So if we click on here, this is what the form looks like. So you have your little asterisks there for whether or not this is a required field. You have multiple choice question and then drop down. And then submit. So it shows you that your response has been sent through to the form. Sometimes you are able to offer more than one response. That's probably not the greatest thing to do in terms of making forms available for assessment, but you might want to do it if you wish people to have another go. I think we'll leave it there for this video. We can then look on at how you share this, how you create quizzes, and get really sort of a bit more in depth with Google Forms in the following in the sections that follow this in the course. But this was just to show you how to access Google Forms through the Google homepage and the app launcher, and some of the ways that you can start asking your questions and the way that you can capture responses. Thank you.